Alright, alright, alright. Starting to do some farming. Do I need... I need opal ring, opal ring. Close. Right here. See if I could do master. Resistance. 75, 76, 66. Should be enough. Sure, shut. No!
Right there, that's upstairs. I saw them upstairs. Good. There it goes. submit. Let me look at it too. I have a towel in the shower.
I might. But I figure.
You fucker. You too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This game is annoying. Sometimes.
You got this.
Thank
Alright. Let's kick some ass.
you. Got it.
I was itching. Bitch.
Hold on. Oh, not on me. Skipping that bastard.
It's lively.
What else got to store in my house? Before I get to I keep getting freaking assists.
Yo, man.
I'm a woman.
I am. I know. That's true. Yeah, I'm leveling this guy. I need a lot more health.
Significantly. Remember from the charts.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm just not confused. Okay, gas yourself. So they're gonna shape.
Oh shit. Silver coin, hell yeah.
The queen.
Sure.
Heartbreaker.
Sorry, too close again.
How's your day been, man?
Let's go ahead and turn. Changes.
Is it like compensation with all that stuff? Or is it asking?
Do you play this game? Do you have any builds that you like for this league? Oh.
Oh, I forgot some of the it's called.
Sure.
That will only slow me down.
Yeah, so at least like that. Like that chart you drew. Or the one I wrote.
My mana is gone.
Salad to liquid is melting.
It's,
Another rogue exile? God damn it.
I uncapped last.
Oh, go away.
Liquid to a gas is big less.
Fuck you.
I mean, it's gonna be stupid easy this time.
And he said the other one's the easiest.
Not the test, but.
That's easy. Which one is it asking?
they
us.
said oxygen, I would agree. Air is that composition we talked about in the other
I know,
influence.
but-
Yeah.
Well, let's see, maybe that's what we got wrong about. Maybe we actually did get something wrong. Makeup. Oh.
We'll be able to find out shortly.
Homogeneous mixture versus heterogeneous mixture.
I found this on the web.
Oops.
We're going to talk about the difference between a homogeneous mixture and a heterogeneous mixture. What do you think the difference is between these two types of mixtures?
So we go. Word thing. To textbook.
Oh,
A homogeneous mixture has visibly indistinguishable parts. All you can see is one clear solution. In a heterogeneous mixture, you can see multiple distinguishable parts.
so hot tea would be
See you soon.
A homogeneous mixture has uniform composition.
soy.
The composition is the same everywhere in the mixture. And the heterogeneous mixture is not the same. The composition can vary by position. So let me give you an example.
Salt water would be homogeneous.
Salt water
Yep.
is a homogeneous mixture.
Got it. Before
When
we
you look
said
at salt water, all you can see is one clear solution. You don't see two distinguishable parts. You can only see one visible part.
Let me know if you bring
Now,
up
what
soil.
about oil and water? Is that a homogeneous mixture or a heterogeneous mixture? By the way, keep in mind, a mixture is a combination of two or more pure substances. Oil and water do not mix. You can visibly see two distinct parts. Now, water is more dense than oil, so the water layer is going to be below it. The lighter oil layer is going to be above it. So because oil and water do not mix, you can see it's a heterogeneous mixture. You can see the two
assuming it's a compound. But I actually don't know what goes into sugar, so
Glucose or something maybe.
no, glucose.
Oops, that's not really good.
What is up in play?
Fable.
I gotcha.
You play that?
Fable, I think I touched on, but I wasn't ever big into like the action RPG style. I know that's not turn based, but also turn based is a big no for me.
Yeah, that was one of the answers, yes. I was hearing a lot of yeses.
Fair enough.
Okay, where is the
Good compound.
Bronze alloy. I want to say it's a. Well, an alloy is a combination of two metals, isn't it?
Bronze is an alloy that consists primarily of copper. With the addition of other ingredients. Bronze.
There it is.
Guess it was not a compound.
What? Why do you keep clicking? Do you want to get it wrong?
I mean, no, not really, but
So don't hit that. You know, you can always go and review. It's not a quiz.
pulled it up several times. It's the link of the page. What the-
What is a compound?
But it's not a compound.
Bronze is a homogeneous mixture of copper and tin. It's a mixture, not a compound, because the proportions of copper and tin are exactly the same in all bronze.
Right, because the definition of a compound has to be equal. You have to have the net sum of 0. So homogeneous mixture?
No, it's what bronze is in. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Bronze is a homogeneous mixture of copper and tin. It's a
My
mixture,
mana is gone.
not a compound, because the proportions of copper and tin aren't exactly the same in all bronze.
Okay, alloy is a homogeneous mixture. Of 2 or more metals. So I was correct in that it was multiple metals, but apparently it's a homogeneous mixture. That's an ore. Alloy.
I don't know what the hell that is.
It's not ore. Substance that can be broken down further by a chemical reaction to give itself as a compound. Opposed to the elements, right, which cannot be broken down further. Guess we gotta find out what Cinnabar is. I was hoping it was like a secret sauce or Cinnabar.
Storm threat. Guess one. CA is closing maybe two. Did you see that, Steven?
What?
The Y may be closing for a little bit because of the storm threat.
Okay. What kind of storm?
I don't know. toxic mercury sulfide. So that means it's a element mineral with a chemical composition. Let's see. Cinnabar. So it's a compound, contains 95% mercury sulfide. It has amazing benefits. Medicine. Oh, I didn't know that. Eastern countries are steadily economic. Interesting. So it's the same thing as mercury sulfide, so it's a compound. Did you try a compound?
Not yet. When you said it was sulfide or something, compound. Nope. It's not compound.
I think you need to read. Underestimated
Got it.
That was gonna be my next guess.
Well, it makes sense. All things considered. And or, I mean, you have to burn everything out to get the product, right? So, that would kind of make sense. I'm thinking way too above and not,
I don't know what ore was. I think of ore.
My mana is gone.
what do you think there?
Next question.
Tell me.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, next one. Let's go.
Okay. I'm just harassing the group. What? Right there.
Right. It's R, right?
I think so. The SC is scandium.
Yeah.
I don't know because I say it just how it works though.
Sorry, say that again.
But that's not. Oh
Okay.
yeah, I already knew that. I'll take care of it. The one here.
What?
I'll take care of the box right here.
Oh.
Are there more boxes?
I don't know.
I did capitalize.
Also, I don't know if you missed it, but Xenon.
Yeah. maybe more boxes in the garage. Steven,
Yeah,
that's where I thought you were going.
I'm gonna do this. After I eat, I'll do that.
I got a booger. Ugh.
I hate that when you think you do, but you don't.
Yeah, right?
But I did.
Okay.
Is nickel Ni, am I remembering correctly?
What?
Huh?
Is nickel Ni?
So the mythic race is finally over, and the winners are Complexity Limit. They seem to have their heads in front for all of Nazoth, and they managed to see it home. But despite this great victory for them, and it was thoroughly entertaining, I must stress, this is all in spite of huge blizzard ineptness during this whole event. So with that said, let's get into the video.
Hey, I'm enjoying myself. Okay.
Hi everyone, it's Az here from Heel vs. Babyface. So again, reiterating, congratulations to Complexity Limit. It was a great kill. Because of the events that we're going to discuss now that unfolded, I actually tuned in, and I've been a self-confessed not a huge fan of this sort of stuff, but maybe due to what happened and the nature of Limit, they seem like a good bunch of guys. Rather enjoyed it. Also, they're still fighting and they haven't actually got the kill, but I'm really kind of hoping that they do, because I kind of want to release this video. So like I said, well done Limit, great kill. Can't congratulate you enough. This all started a few days ago, and I'd heard that there'd been a few buggy problems with the raid. I mean, it's not as if Blizzard have a QA team or have been testing it for ages, but never mind. But there's been a couple of issues as regards to that. But when it got to the final boss, this is the race, you know. And regardless of how you feel about this sort of thing, it's very important to the people who are competing, you know? It is important to them.
Holy shit.
All they can truly ask for is a level playing field, that everyone gets the same treatment. But, oh boy, here we go. So they get into the fight, and because it's the mythic version, you get
What the hell is that?
Normally in this, and from what I can gather, because I couldn't find any footage of this, so I'm actually just going down by what's written here in this article, because they actually stack both articles together. From what I can gather, when it gets to the stage where the secret area, the mythic area, pops, the shield on the Zoth didn't go back up, remained down, and so Limit could stay out and burn the boss down, and then when it hit just under 25%, the shield went back up, and the portal reopened, and they could go through the portal to do the secret area. Now that's from what I can gather. It might not have unfolded in that way, but what happened was when Complexity Limit came out of that secret area, Blizzard forcefully despawned the boss.
Really?
What?
And said that if we'd continued, then it was actually a glitch. You guys would have been banned. Your fault, Blizzard, but yeah, ban them because of it. So they despawned the boss, but not only did they despawn the boss for the fight, they despawned the boss in the whole of North America. It was only offline temporary while they sorted things out. But this is the actual event itself. So I'm going to quickly play this for you.
Good. Now we push.
They're
before
inside
the
the
next set.
secret
if we get
area
them,
now.
It's
You
gonna be
can
maybe
hear
a
the
shot
chit-chat.
flip.
Are we going out right away?
They're just finishing the Annihilator and about to
Check for
portal back
a
to
cannon and then go out. Check for a cannon and then go out.
do a quick check.
Someone his shield's gone. His shield's gone. We gotta go. We gotta
Go boss. Go boss. Go boss.
And then through they go, back to the
Fired up. Try to
fight.
refresh your feed. I can't
and
see your thing. Okay, it's fine. Burn boss.
Blizzard
boys.
destroyed.
What?
Oh, they just spawned.
This is We're on the. They didn't like what we were doing.
So they didn't know if this was a bug. They didn't know what was going on, whether or not they needed to kill these ads. The boss would materialize. But they got word that it was because it was actually bugged out. The fight had bugged out, and if they got the kill, they would have got a glitch kill, and it wouldn't have stood, and they would have been banned. So that was one of the fun parts. But there's more. Oh my god, how could they have wiped on 2.2? All they needed was just somebody to be alive, because the boss was actually dead. So, congratulations, Complexity Limit. Awesome kill. Awesome kill. You deserved it. You deserve that #1 spot. So, what else went on? Well, while this fight was actually going on, and I'm not just talking with Limit, I'm talking with all the competitors, Blizzard decided to announce that they're actually going to make some corruption adjustments, and that they're going to be coming exceedingly soon, i.e. during the actual race for world first, which caused massive drama amongst the competitors who are actually competing and other professionals around the place, because they'd stressed people knew certain things needed to be tweaked. They'd actually gone through the testing procedure for 8.3, and a lot of the things that Blizzard were now going to tune were things that people had brought up, needed to be looked at, needed to be changed. And the timing of this was just ridiculous, because it would affect how the competitors would strategically play out this fight based off the working off a current strat with the current relation of corruption, etc. So this caused, as I said, a lot of people to be angry. Why didn't Blizzard make the changes prior to the race for world first, or why didn't Blizzard wait until after the world first had been resolved, so everything was on a parity still, then dealt with those changes? Thankfully, cooler heads did prevail, and Blizzard have said, yes, we should wait. Who makes these decisions? Hey, we've got this massive tournament going on at the moment. It's a race for the world's first. Let's just change stuff. Who makes that decision anyway? This company is, in the end. But guess what, folks? There's more. So let's go back to what happened. First of all, when they went into the secret area, the mythic area, they believed that it had 2 phases because of the way that it had played out days ago. Yes, days ago, couple of days back. So Limit were basing everything around the fact that they had to do the first phase, then they'd go into the secret phase, then they'd come out to the next phase, then when they hit 25% on the Zoth, they'd be procking the second stage of the secret mythic area, and they'd be doing that coming out, finishing off the boss. No matter what they seemed to do, it didn't work. The portal wasn't procking for them to go through. So they were basing their strat around this, and they couldn't get through, and they were trying and trying and trying. Never mind that there were various bugs with players bugging out here or there, or a mechanic or 2 bugging out here or there. But then they got an email from Blizzard during the actual event itself saying, "Oh guys, there's no other stage. There's no other stage. It's just burn boss down after the one secret area that you do in Mythic." So their strat had to completely change because they're using the necks for healing as opposed to damage and all this sort of stuff. And what I can gather, you know, I've kind of trying to run away from it.
I'm sorry, what
But it
was the
caused,
information?
again, some confusion, but they seem to focus. However, what you have to understand as well is,
See, I'm
yeah,
smart
these guys
too.
are, you know, certainly more professional than the average player. But the mindset must have been really difficult. Once you've been in a mindset for a certain period of time, you know, a good like day or so, doing a very specific thing, to quickly having to change it around to do something else. You'd think, you know, it'd actually be quite tough for them to mentally focus. And I think it did actually prove to be, although they, you know, they were saying all the right things and they were keeping the morale up and spirits up and all that sort of stuff. And they did have about a 5 or 6 hour window after they got that communication. But let's just say, I think the way they handled things was very diplomatic. Yeah, they kind of let loose a few shade throws at Blizzard, but look, rightly so. But there were lots of shaking my head at the whole just ineptness of this fight and the way that it actually played out. But you know, this is Blizz 2020. How they getting on? I think they're on lunch. I think they've just come back from lunch. So congratulations, Limit, once again for that kill. I knew you had it in you. You persevered, and it was very entertaining to watch. So thank you very much indeed. And I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up. And also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links, they're in the description box down below. And I'll be back.
OS is 1.
Hopefully when Limit is killed with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.
You're not supposed to be one. I was telling you, knowledgeable, vital, this is the whole thing.
3, 2, 1. Hi everyone. I can't believe I'm going to actually say this, but Method came through. Although Limit seemed to have everything in the bag when it came to this Mythic World First race, it didn't happen for them. Mythic came storming back through and claimed the prize, something that they've been doing with great frequency. But that doesn't tell the story of what actually happened here. So let's get into it. I don't think I'll be using
What'd you order?
You may well recall, an increasingly long number of years ago now, Amazon announced they were getting into...
In order. So. I don't know. I'm guessing it's good. I don't know why they have it like that. If it wasn't in order.
Today's episode of Inside Gaming Daily is brought to you by Movement Watches. Get 15% off plus free shipping and free returns by going to movement.com, mvmt.com/inside. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Inside Gaming Daily for Wednesday.
It's a hump day, we all know the drill, but today we're hitting you with a respectful hump as we witness a huge departure in the games industry.
I mean, it's
Don't worry, it's not Brian.
Yeah, he's just going on hiatus.
No.
He's going out in the country.
So the question, are we witnessing the beginning of the end for Rockstar Games?
Oh, no.
Could the company that's responsible for some of the biggest games in the last 20 years be on its way out?
I don't know, it might be early to speculate, but one of the pillars of the company announced that he's leaving, and investors are not happy. Their money showers have gone from hour-long extravaganzas to 30-minute, what's the last extravaganza?
A soiree.
Also, being too early has never stopped us from speculating before. Respectful speculation, of course. Tied with a bow of borderline clickbait because we have to. But don't worry, we're gonna share our thoughts on this one with you guys, and we don't think we're alone in our concern.
Borderline. Yeah, if you haven't heard, we're talking about Dan Houser, who is stepping down from Rockstar, the company he helped start.
Oh no, Dan! In a securities filing yesterday afternoon, parent company Take-Two Interactive announced that Houser, who is a vice president of creative at Rockstar, is leaving next month. Oh no, Brian, what did he say? They say.
Yep.
Who said what?
So they said in very sanitized corporate speak, we are extremely grateful for his contributions. Rockstar Games has built some of the most critically acclaimed and commercially successful game worlds, a global community of passionate fans, and an incredibly talented team which remains focused on current and future projects. So they're saying he's gone, but don't worry, we're still working hard on GTA Online.
Well, the news came as a shock. Houser has had one foot out the door for a while. He took an extended break from Rockstar starting in the spring of last year. We're unfamiliar with that here at Inside Gaming. Not like any of our founders have made that exact. Must be nice.
Did he swear he wasn't gonna leave before he took the break?
Here's some people you don't know. They have this show now. Don't worry, I'm still around.
Oh, did I mention that I'm gone? I assume he's just on a giant boat somewhere, right?
Yeah, probably. Swallowing the urge to ram that boat into the side of another boat and then take off on a giant helicopter while spraying bullets and inciting panic. You know, when you play GTA for too long, you can't stop thinking about going ape instead of dicking around in traffic.
Imagine being the guy making those games, and imagine the thoughts going through his maybe effed up little brain. Probably all kinds of stained with murder.
Super twisted.
Super twisted.
Yeah, he's been a writer on successful projects, though. Most of their games, including every GTA game, Bully, Max Payne 3, and of course, the 2 Red Dead Redemptions.
Yeah, now he wasn't the only writer on those games, but he definitely played a huge role in the creative direction of the company, especially considering that he helped start it. That's genuinely like losing half a chunk of your foundation. Rockstar.
Another thing that we wouldn't know anything
Right.
Doing
the white maps.
We lost the foundation.
Rockstar's games also have a very distinct writing style that captures a sense of humor while still being compelling. It's unique, which is partially why these games have carved out such a huge space in the industry. I don't think that they're terrifically well written. I think the stories are good. And I have to watch the writing firsthand. I'm like,
esports. It's like professional computer games.
Red Dead Redemption 2 in particular, which is Rockstar's most recent game, won a lot of praise for its story because it was awesome. Honestly, the story is 90% of what you play Red Dead 2 for. It's incredibly well written, super complex.
There we go. That's why I win.
Asses and Nuts, my favorite game.
Oops, all ass. Yeah, Houser started Rockstar in the late 90s along with his bro, Sam Houser. The new company was a successor to BMG Interactive, where they were executives before Take-Two swooped in and bought up the assets.
Of course, Rockstar would go on to become one of the blue-chip developers in video games, with franchises like GTA and Red Dead, along with Bully, Max Payne, and others. Those weird Austin Powers of the Game Boy Color. Does Rockstar make you horny? Oh, yeah, baby.
No, that's the wrong song.
GTA 5 has been called the best-selling entertainment product in history, with more than 115 million copies sold. Good God.
Woo! And how did Red Dead 2 sell, Brian?
Not as well, but still really well. It sold more than 26 million copies, so not too shabby either, boys. I guess more of us want to go ape in traffic than take a peaceful gander at some horse testicles.
Yeah, speak for yourself. Yeah, Rockstar doesn't put out a lot of games, but when they do, they're the video game equivalent of a Hollywood summer movie. They cost a load of money to make, but they're typically giant spectacles and they're really damn fun.
Rockstar is a money-making juggernaut, and obviously they want to keep that going.
And they made it clear that the other Houser, Dan's brother Sam Houser, is still with the company as president. A spokesperson told IGN, Sam Houser's role with Rockstar Games, which he founded in 1998, remains unchanged. Sam and the team remain focused on current and future projects. Brian, can you translate that for us?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Yeah, translation, GTA 6 is still gonna be good, we promise. Hey, wait, where's everybody going? Please stop leaving, we're trying really hard.
Yeah, that one hits a bit close to home too, doesn't it?
So why did Dan Houser leave? Why did Danny leave? Well, Red Dead 2 released in October of 2018, and his extended break started a few months after that, so there might have been a bit of burnout there.
Yeah, it must have been all those 100-hour work weeks. Rockstar.
Honestly, the guy definitely has more money than he knows what to do with. Yeah. More money than God, who's famously very rich. And he's only in his 40s, which is still very young. He's practically a baby. So maybe he just decided it's time to just enjoy his incredibly lavish life.
I couldn't agree more, Connor. Great point.
I don't know if that's really young, Brian, but you know what you might need to accurately gauge the sands of time?
The Days of Our Lives intro music.
That's right, a movement watch. Folks, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and we know finding the right gift can be stressful. God, do we know. Well, I'm single. But anyway, that's why our friends over at Movement Watches have already done all the hard work for you. They've curated their best-selling watches, jewelry, and eyewear styles into the perfect Valentine's Day gift box sets for him and her, or for anyone really. Enjoy a stress-free Valentine's Day with Movement's best-selling styles already pre-packaged together into a sleek gift box set that they'll love. Choose between beautiful watch and jewelry combo boxes or upgrade to a deluxe box that features a watch, bracelet, and a pair of glasses. All in one and done gifting made easy. Get them something that they'll wear every day with a clean, timeless watch. Ching, ching. And for every watch order, you can get a free extra watch strap and a free gift box already packaged together for you. If you need a little extra help choosing the perfect style for your Valentine, find exactly what you need with Movement's 2020 Valentine's Day gift guide. Who says you can't also gift yourself while you're at it? I mean, Movement's special duo boxes feature a best-selling men's watch and a best-selling women's watch, so you can both look the part and enjoy your special day. So get 15% off with free shipping and free returns by going to movement.com/inside. Again, that's MVMT, and enjoy a free extra watch strap and a free gift box with each watch ordered. Go to MVMT.com/inside for your most stress-free Valentine's Day gifting yet.
So where does all this leave Rockstar going forward? Well, that remains to be seen.
Yo, do you want to join me, man?
Investors were not happy with
Can.
the news. Take-Two stock immediately dropped by as much as 5% after the announcement yesterday. Damn, first my Bitcoin, now
This is my name.
I'm never going to be able to retire. I guess you just take me out back, put a bullet in my head.
That's actually very expensive. Yeah, stockholders don't like it when the person who helped write all your big games leaves the company. Just like you guys don't like it when a big-ass deal is made about the channel getting rebooted to its glory days and then dying all over again. See? Relatable.
So, Brian, is there any silver lining to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because while Hauser definitely helped to shape Rockstar and its reputation for making great games, he was also responsible for some negative aspects of the company as well, because Rockstar is well known for what Kotaku once called a culture of crunch, aka working the shit out of your employees, and that's not cool.
I wonder if they'll get to retire in their 40s. No, they won't.
In a 2018 interview, Dan Houser notoriously talked about working 100-hour weeks to finish up Red Dead 2. That set off a whole firestorm about crunch in the video game industry, which is legendary for making employees work very long hours.
Yeah, Hauser later walked those comments back and said that he was only talking about the writing team and that those 100-hour weeks only lasted for 3 weeks. He told Kotaku that working overtime was voluntary, but lots of Rockstar staffers said that was not true.
Voluntary if you want to keep your job. One told Kotaku that while nobody I know worked 100-hour weeks, many of us worked 60 to 80-hour weeks for the past 1 or 2 years. To hear one of the heads of the company effectively go on record as saying none of that ever happened has been a huge blow to morale at a time when we should be celebrating.
AKA, our boss is full of like all bosses.
Of course, crunch isn't just a Rockstar problem by any means. It's pervasive throughout the games industry. When deadlines approach, studios work longer hours.
There's been a lot of talk about reforming the industry and unionizing, but so far we haven't seen any real signs of change. Do you think the culture will change with Hauser leaving, Brian?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, the culture of any company is set at the top, so there's a potential good thing there with him leaving. On the negative side, he's leaving, so you're losing a big part of what made Rockstar great, and as with BioWare and Blizzard, we've learned that just because a company has been good in the past doesn't mean that it'll always be the case. Once the old guard leaves, the guys who started it, it can fall apart.
I'm sorry, Anthem was amazing. Also, I'd like to announce my new job as head of PR at BioWare.
Oh, congratulations.
I'll be taking a hiatus. A lot of these companies were started in the 80s and 90s, which means that some of the founders could be reaching retirement age. If they want, that is. They've certainly got plenty of money to do it.
It's also worth wondering how will this affect the single-player experience of Rockstar games, because Hauser was obviously really focused on that end.
And in recent years, we've definitely seen Rockstar more interested in multiplayer modes, like GTA Online and Red Dead Online. I wonder why.
Money. So it'll be interesting to see how Rockstar changes going forward, because this is a big departure, and it will have big effects on the company.
Yeah, it's also the dawn of a new era at Rockstar. They haven't officially announced GTA 6 yet, but we know it's been in the works for years now.
We know!
Yeah, they call us every day. They give us updates on how it's coming.
Yeah, baby! 6, you say? 6 GTA!
Damn,
We actually do know
baby.
because...
Oh, GTA 6 is going great, baby.
Together for Monday.
It's Monday. Hey, we all survived the weekend. This one was a hard one for me, and I assume for everyone else. So good job, everyone.
So when it,
2 people? All right.
so when it comes to Rockstar, people have had the same question for years.
Yeah. Why
So
didn't
now-
you get any single-player DLC? When are they remaking San Andreas? Where's
Wait,
my
what?
burrito?
That's a lot of questions. No, actually, we're talking about Bully 2 and...
Okay.
All right, we've seen some movies before. Like we've seen some bad movies. The Room, which is actually an incredible movie.
Genius film.
We've seen what else?
Rise of Skywalker.
Incredible.
Same.
Last
The
Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Okay. Phantom Menace. Actually, that's not that bad now. Okay. In retrospect, it's gotten better. So we just walked out of Birds of Prey. It's the latest movie in the DC universe. I had heard actually pretty good things. Like I had heard some good things about it. I don't think this is the worst film I've ever seen. Not even close to that, in fact.
It's top 10.
No, I don't think so, but I definitely think it sucks. Okay, I definitely think this film sucks. I got no problem telling you that.
Let's get to it, bud. Okay.
Quick drop.
And no spoilers, by the way.
So, first of all, can I say, I know a lot of people are like, this film's so woke, it's woke. I don't give a fuck about how woke it is. I don't care that there are women and minorities in the film.
I certainly do.
I don't give a shit, okay? And in fact, I will say this from the very start. I actually liked the cast of characters. I really did. Like, I thought that there were some interesting angles. Margot Robbie, she carried the film so hard. Every time she delivers a line, it's fantastic. And I think if she had a better script, it would have been fantastic. There's like this songbird person who sings and stuff.
Yeah.
I think she's cool. There's someone else whose name I won't spoil, but she uses a crossbow to kill people. I think she's kind of funny and cool. There's a little Asian kid who pickpockets stuff.
Yeah.
And whatever, not much going on there. But overall, the old cop lady as well. She's like a 50-year-old cop lady. I like the cast, so I don't give a fuck about like the whole women minor. I don't care at all. All of my issues with this film have nothing to do with that at all.
Sure. Let's just make sure it's super.
That's super, because I already posted on Twitter, and everyone was like, "You're so sexy." I'm like, I don't give a
We are toxic white males,
That's
okay?
right.
And the thing is, if we come out and say it sucks, it must mean
It must mean it's because we hate women and minorities.
Look,
clearly,
there are only two other things that are redeemable in this movie, in my opinion. The music was really well.
Music was very good,
fantastic. And number two, the action scenes were actually phenomenal, and it really worked in this. The first thing I really want to get off, just off the bat, this thing just reeked of constantly being in the shadow of the Joker, in my opinion, be it in Gotham City or even just in pop culture. The whole time, there's continuous references to Mr. J and how she's missing him, and then other people are commenting about him and them.
It's part of her
this and
story,
that
though.
At the very beginning, at the very end, one of her last lines, she still is commenting on the Joker. The whole thing,
Look, I really
is drenched in the Joker.
I disagree with that completely. So just in case you didn't know, Harlequin, this is the story of what happens when she breaks up with Joker and how she kind of like finds herself. You know what I mean? I agree that the first act, I think, of the film is very much about that, because it's about setting it up. But I don't agree that the next two acts of the film are about that at all. Yeah, I totally disagree with the idea that this film lives in the shadow of the Joker. I personally don't agree with that.
The thing is, after the first act, it is very much about, I'm going to become my own woman. Cool, great. The whole thing, there's over a dozen references from her saying it or other people, from hired goons to the main evil dude. You know, there's so many people that are constantly dropping the Joker in this film all the time. There's a moment I feel like if you're going to make a 2-hour movie, after the half-an-hour mark or whatever, just drop that and make this about her. But I felt like that was happening all the time. But apart from that, let's talk about the biggest problem we have. I have a huge crush on this man, okay? There's nothing wrong with having a man crush. Hugh McGregor is one sexy mother, okay? When he did Moulin Rouge, I fell in love. I saw it with my mum twice. Anyway, straight white male, I promise.
That's right.
Straight white male, I promise, right? He was so badly cast
so bad in this
film.
movie.
There was not a moment where I was like, I'm buying this.
He is the villain. He is atrocious. And again, he's a great actor. Fantastic actor. Hello there. And you're like, yes, cool. We love Ewan McGregor. He is the worst part of this movie by far. Ironically enough, the straight white male is the biggest weakness.
Ruining
the biggest weakness in the straight white males. They ruin everything, don't they? No, but seriously, he was so miscast. Like, you just can't buy him as a villain. You can't. Like, it doesn't work.
You know, I said when we walked out, like, he's just too good for this film. And I think you originally thought I meant, but what I mean is wholesome. You know, like he's such a nice guy. Every time he's on screen, you just have a gigantic smirk on your face. He has built a persona outside of movies that is so wholesome and nice and pure, right? Like there's, that old woman that has the Obi-Wan Kenobi photo in her house thinking that it's Jesus Christ. And this is the kind of effect Ewan McGregor has on people. You just love him so much. he's a brilliant actor,
And-
but he's not a villain.
And they do a lot of work to try and build him up. So, like, actually, about 3/4 the way through the film, they still have some scenes where he's doing general evil shit just to prove to you that he's really evil. Like, the plot just stops for like 5 minutes just so he can do something completely non sequitur to be like, oh yeah, by the way, guys, he's really evil. Like, it's trying way too hard. The movie knows that he is not good in it, and it really comes through, and it really, I just think, holds the whole thing back. So,
And look, this thing had to be reshot, by the way. Like,
I didn't hear about that.
Now this thing had to be reshot.
That's usually
it did
not
bring
good.
in John Wick's director to jump in and do some reshoots for this thing.
Was it a man?
A man had to
bring
come
in a man to save the day, did
save
they?
the day, everybody.
It's terrible.
That's a nice little soundbite. No, but we're not clear if it was just for the action scenes or whatever. But that, for me, maybe lends to the idea that this was in trouble. This might have needed someone to jump in and look at it.
I think it's just in
You
general,
know?
the movie in terms of its editing and its flow, it's a real mess. Like, it's constantly trying to do these kind of like flashback sequences.
Well, there was one
that tell
major
the
segment of
stories.
that.
No,
Yeah.
there was a few. There was definitely a few.
There might have been. I was just so it did the Witcher thing on you. I don't know if you guys have seen the Witcher, but it jumps back and forth, and it's just not clear. And it really is like, whoa, what the fuck's going on here? It was confusing.
Sometimes,
and there was too long of a gap between going back and then jumping to where it was. I just lost track of that initial like technique that they were putting in. It was just such a mess. I mean, the story
Yeah.
itself was not rewarding. I'm sitting there for 2 hours.
yeah.
Yeah, sitting there for 2 hours going, cool, okay, I'm looking to see the journey with Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
I get she's crazy and all that, but with the Joker, there's a story there, you know, and it takes you on that crazy, chaotic story. And there's at the end of it, you're like, cool, I sat here and walk away with something. Here, I'm like, what was this? I don't know what she learned. I don't know what I learned. I don't know what this thing was all for.
The real learning was the learning along the way.
The learning along the way.
But
Yeah.
seriously though, look, the action side of it, I would say, was pretty cool. It did have some cool action scenes. It was very John Wick inspired.
Yeah,
so I'm not,
definitely.
when you said to me, oh, they brought the John Wick guy in, I didn't know that, but I can see some of the DNA in that because the action sequences are very much just hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Like, there's one really good car chase scene in it, which I won't spoil, but, you know, like, overall, it's just a whole bunch of people beating each other up, and I think they're well shot and they're cool. If you go into this movie looking for cool fight scenes and cool music, I think you'll enjoy yourself. You'll smile. You have some laughs or whatever else. Oh, actually, you probably won't laugh. I think the humor in this was terrible. It tried so often to be funny, and I just don't think it was funny. It did not land.
It just
for me
did
at
not
all.
land.
Not at all.
It just felt so. You know, I get like some Harley Quinn feels like it might be offbeat humor. Like
Oh, totally,
maybe that
yeah.
would work, quirkiness and whatever. It just was mismatched with what they were trying to do, and there was just jokes flying at you cinematically. Also, like there was a whole scene with this burger thing, and like it's supposed to be funny. I'm like, oh, this is just not funny. It's not working.
I
It's
agree.
so dramatically. It was trying to be like dramatic funny in some moments. I'm like, nah, I'm not buying it. This is just not funny. you know?
Yeah, so
But look, Margot Robbie tried her best. She's an absolutely brilliant actor.
she is.
You know,
fucking,
props to her.
She
for
nailed
sure.
it, as I said. Every time she was doing things, I was like, this is good. Anytime she was like doing kind of exposition stuff or trying to move the plot forward, I was like, you're delivering these lines really well, but the lines suck. But the story sucks. And basically, as I said, like, good music, good fight scenes, everything that connects all of that, really garbage.
Yeah.
I would say, though, that I would actually like to watch a sequel to this film. I know that sounds really
Wow.
crazy, but like, coming back to what I said at the very start of this video, I actually like the cast. Like, I did. Like, I love Harley Quinn. I think she's a fantastic character. I think some of the characters that she's fighting alongside or whatever have an interesting hook. I reckon if you had this cast and you had a better script and some better direction, you could actually make a pretty cool movie. I would be down for that. But this movie, I think, really blowed.
It
Like,
really
I
blowed.
did.
I just don't want to see another one of these because I think that everything that Margot Robbie's in, I fucking love. Like, she's so good. She's such a good, like, mascot for Australia. She always does good shit. And I see this, I'm like, oh, don't do this anymore, please. Like, this is not. It's
No, I think she comes out of this so clean because I think
No,
as I said,
she did a good job.
She
I'm
did
just-
a fantastic job. So even though the movie sucks, she still comes out a superstar.
For sure, but like I just don't want to. I don't want to see her in this again. I'd rather her do other stuff personally. And it just
More
seems like it
Tarantino
was.
films.
Yeah. With like 3 lines. But no, jokes. She does other good stuff, you know it. But you know, I'm just not wrapped in this, you
No,
know. And I
it's
really DC needs wins because
man, they need wins
Look,
big
they
time.
need wins. I think Aquaman, which was also reshot, very good. I thought it was really fantastic.
Release the Snyder Cut.
You know, yeah,
As
yeah,
if
yeah.
anything can save Justice League. You think a new edit of that movie is going to make that movie good? I got news for you people. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Okay?
so
No way.
I just think that, yeah, DC, as I said, does need a win. I think, you know, off the heels of Dark Knight, we haven't seen a lot of great things, apart from the Joker, of course, which came out a few months ago.
That
which
wasn't even DC.
absolute smash out of the park.
I feel like that wasn't really DC.
Was it though?
I don't think it didn't have the whole DC Universe intro. Like, it wasn't DC Universe like Marvel Universe.
Sure, we might
like
not be-
Logan, for example, was not Marvel Comics Universe. It was obviously Sony, whatever. Whatever it was.
Whatever
it
it
was not
was.
part of the MCU,
Yeah,
right?
sure,
And
sure.
so I think Joker's the same thing. It wasn't part of the DCU.
I guess the point I'm trying to make though is Joker is still part of DC, and people will associate that with
Sure.
a DC win. You know, so that was the latest win they've had. Aquaman was good, but I just, you know, I feel like Marvel kind of completely dominates the quality aspect right now of superhero films, and then there's a hit and miss factor with DC, and they need to like set a good, nice precedent of just good films, you know. And I just feel like it's always one's good, one's bad, and I just feel like this one is bad. Everybody, okay?
It is bad. And it's actually 90% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
How?
I don't understand how it's 90%.
Are we just
on
not
Rotten
good at
Tomatoes.
this? I don't know.
No. I guarantee you that the audience score, by the way, can I say at the end,
Alright.
in finishing,
Wait a minute.
some people will enjoy this film, okay? As I said, it's got action, it's got some music. If you just go in there with
It's got
some
action,
music,
it's got some
Yeah.
music.
if you just go in there with low expectations and you
Wow.
focus
You
on
played
the
it?
theme park ride quality of it, then yeah, some people will enjoy this. As I said, it's not a movie.
Oh,
that
yeah,
I
that
hate,
just
I
came
don't
out,
think-
like,
It's just a movie that I
couple
think is
months
not good.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I think
Yeah,
when it comes to user
PCs.
scores, you're going to see a real mix. And I think it's probably going to land at like, 65-70%. But then again, I said that it's going to that Rise of Skywalker was going to get review bombed, and then
Oh, three?
mysteriously on Rotten Tomatoes it stayed at
two.
86% user score for a
One,
long
two.
time.
Yes.
I wonder
Oh.
why.
I wonder why.
As I said, this isn't the worst.
What do you
film
think
ever.
about three?
I don't think it's good.
I enjoyed three.
If it's on Netflix or something one day, watch it.
Check it out.
Check it out.
It's not worth
Yeah.
paying $20 to go see this
I
thing.
don't think it's worth
It's
paying.
definitely an
You
interesting.
know, yes, that's it. Really, really.
TLDR.
We're defeated, actually.
White men hate
Yes.
a white men hate women movie.
I always I was looking forward to it for the action.
That
you know,
goes to another time.
Goodbye.
just the satisfaction of like all the hits and stuff. Like I remember seeing like the elite for the barbarian at first. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. Yeah, now Diablo 4 is gonna be like that, but with more like Diablo 2 spirit.
You know, Blizzard, we aspire to bring the world.
And they're also making Path of Exile too. That's coming out in next year.
Diablo.
Yeah, this new league is a Metamorph where you take these things, these little medallions, and then you add them together because they're body parts, and you create a new boss at the end that you can customize. Yeah.
Not another joke. No, I think we've had enough of your jokes.
So you could set how difficult you want the boss or how much more words you want. I'm sorry, what was that?
Okay, guys, we just released a video and then some news dropped, and we're like, holy shit.
Yeah,
we're gonna get this news
they're really
out too
hard,
because
though.
we're a news channel, and so we're still here.
Wow, thanks. That's behind the
The ones I've been
behind
making
the
are
scenes.
really
That's how it works.
coinciding.
Point
Point
is, back into it.
Blizzard have just responded to the Warcraft 3
Yep,
refunded
it's
saga. It's the
annoying.
very first time they've made an official public statement.
But
And,
the good thing about those
it's
games, you can
utterly
always
bullshit.
find a way
It's
to increase your
mind-bogglingly
powers from
bad.
that.
I really cannot believe that they
Just,
approved this to go out. We're going to go through the entire
I know I can
statement,
find my
explain to
health.
you what it is, explain to you why it's fucking nuts, and that's it. Let's drop.
Drop this shit. I love the first part, by the way. Hell,
Okay.
War 3 players.
What's up,
Man,
man?
that's edgy. It's cool, and you know, they're one of us.
They're one of us, I
They're
can
one of
tell.
us.
Fire, fire.
How do you do, fellow kids? Get what you fucking deserve.
K-Vax is a community man. I feel bad for this person though. Let's not bring a hate on K-Vax.
True.
It's not his job. He probably didn't write this.
We've
He was
met-
probably given.
Yeah, we've met many of people that are associated, like, you know, in terms of having to deal with the community. We know from Bethesda.
Even the Bethesda people are nice people,
and
they represent a garbage company.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's a fact.
the thing.
So
So I do
that's
feel
how it
bad for
works.
him.
Seems
He
so
has a job
hard.
to do, and
So
that's
here's
gonna be a hard
what
job.
we're gonna do is we're gonna go through this blow by blow, so you hear the whole statement and also talk about why it's utter fucking nonsense. Let's get started.
this is
We've been
level,
following the discussions
69.
the past couple of days, and want to thank you for your feedback. As as well as your support.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
This
Lots
is
of
mapping.
support,
In
lots
game.
of support.
They're getting that.
First off, we want to say we're sorry to those of
Yeah, I
you
love it.
who didn't have the experience you wanted, and we'd like to share our.
Then there's Dell. They actually added Conquerors of the Atlas, which are these people who are like mappers,
Right.
and they're extremely strong. They've just been like doing maps like this, like for an eternity. So they're like stronger than the
No,
Shaper.
we got more though. No, there's more. But I'm just
Have
saying.
you ever done the Shaper before?
That's
No, I
the
haven't.
apology they offer.
I haven't either. I'm trying to get to them though.
Sorry, guys.
He's-
How bad? No.
Warcraft's bad.
No. You're bad for not having the experience you wanted.
True.
It's on you.
The
for
Shaper,
not
and
having
then the
experience.
Elder,
It's not
and
Blizzard's
then
fault.
the
They don't take
Conquerors.
accountability. They don't say,
They're like the
we're
guys
sorry
that
we
already
fucked
killed the
up.
Shaper.
We're sorry we shipped a bad game. We're sorry we
They're
overpromised,
mapping
underdeliver.
the
We're sorry we put out
units
this
down there.
complete dud. We're sorry we ruined Warcraft 3 Original and now you can't play your old customs. No sorry for that. No. We're sorry that you didn't have the experience that you wanted.
These guys are lawyers. Okay.
These guys
and then
are
they were like, we want to be
lawyers.
game devs instead. Okay. This is what's going on here, everybody.
Oh man.
The only one I've got on my side is the blood-sucking lawyer. Thank you.
So anyway, that apology is utter crazy nonsense. Blizzard got a lot of flack at BlizzCon for the emptiness of their apology there. This is a billion times worse here, man. This isn't even trying to show any real empathy or like acknowledgement or responsibility or anything. Anyway, that's
Next.
part one.
There were a few hours during launch day where we experienced server load issues that impacted players' ability to jump right in, but we were able to resolve those later in the day. Separate
Take 'em
from
out,
that,
take 'em
we've
out,
seen
take 'em out.
community feedback about different aspects of Reforged that we wanted to take some time to address. I love how they're like, guys, like, we might have had some server issues, but we fixed that
We
quickly
did
for
that,
you guys.
man.
See, we did a job well done
We
on
are a
that,
company
guys.
of action. You should,
Oh,
you
yeah.
should focus on the things that we have done. And in the first day, we made sure the servers worked.
You could play the game.
Good on us. We are Blizzard. We are great.
I'm Monsters Incorporated.
Before we go on, the team is excited that Warcraft 3 Reforged is I think that's a typo. That should be refunded.
Oh,
It's finally
nice
upon
round,
us,
edgy.
and we're fully committed to supporting the game for a long time to come. The next patches and updates we'll discuss
Holy
as
shit.
part of our ongoing plans.
Whoa.
This game is an integral part of the
No
Blizzard
chaos.
community,
Oh,
the
well.
team that loves Warcraft 3, and we're looking forward to pouring our hearts into Reforged and the Warcraft 3 community for the long term. Does anybody really believe? Does anybody believe those words for a split second?
That
is
is-
anybody on the planet dumb enough to believe the words that I just read aloud?
I really
One person.
think that they're like, I reckon they're going to triple their budget in Warcraft now. I actually think
No.
they're going to do something because
No.
they know how bad this is. They brought out this game with no marketing. All right, they gutted this thing entirely. Now they've seen what a disgusting mess this is. They might actually have to put a team on it to do something about it.
That's like saying Bethesda would double their budget, triple their budget on Fallout 76. You know what they did? They tripled the cost.
That's $3 a budget to $9 budget.
That's what they tripled the cost and made you pay a subscription. That's their answer. Can we expect Warcraft 3 Reforged first, Sam? Subscription service to Warcraft 3.
That would be great.
Nice.
I'd be down for that, not really. One of the concerns with Reforged that we've seen are the visuals when selecting Classic mode. We've identified the bug causing the colors and shading to look different from the original Warcraft 3, and we're testing a fix that will be incorporated in a larger patch addressing this issue and others. We expect to release that late this week. The patch will also address many other known issues, such as fixing some portrait animations and audio bugs, implementing some UI fixes, and more. Please keep an eye out for some patch notes for a detailed list of all the bug fixes.
So what they're basically saying is here, we shipped you a broken product on day one. We're going to patch it over time to make it not broken. So thanks for your money. That's what they're saying, okay? That's good job, Blizzard.
Thank you, Blizzard.
Another area of concern we're seeing is regarding online features such as leaderboards and clans, which applies to all Warcraft 3 players, including those who haven't purchased Reforged. At BlizzCon, we talked a lot about how the team is actively working on standing up the back end to ensure a smooth transition to this new MMR system, much like we did with StarCraft Remastered. As with Remastered, these and other features will be included in a major patch for Reforged, which will address the issue for players of the original game. We'll share release plans as work progresses in the coming weeks. Please be assured that the team is hard at work at standing those features up.
In those 2 paragraphs, there's a hell of a lot of things that they need to do. Like a hell of a lot of things.
Rebuild the online infrastructure for this game.
Completely rebuild everything in this game. And
That was just
rebuild
ripped
their
out of
brand. which is never going to be. So look, basically, what they're saying is here, we fucked up a whole bunch of stuff that was in the game. Now it's not anymore. We're going to rebuild it over time, and we're not giving you an ETA for when that's going to happen. Yes. What they should have done is not ripped it out of the classic client first of all, and secondly, not release Reforged until this stuff was done. But Blizzard, Activision Blizzard 2020, man, it's a different company. These are different times we're living in. Yes. This is what we can expect. This is so, you know, like, corporate. Gross. It's all this, really like, gross. Standing up the back end.
You ever play Warcraft Reforged, man?
I know all this stand-up jug. This is how companies talk. This is not how gamers talk, man. You don't say we're working on standing up the back end. We're gonna fix the game that's broken. We're gonna fix.
But yeah, did you ever play Reforged? Warcraft 3? The original Warcraft 3?
There are some individual concerns we've seen that we're not currently planning to address, and we want to give the community a heads up. As of version 1.3 of the original game, we saw very low usage of tournaments and the Reign of Chaos rule set, so we removed both in mid-2019 in version 1.31. Eliminating the maintenance for underused elements has helped us streamline our overall support of the game and focus on areas impacting the most players. That said, we do anticipate that players who prefer Reign of Chaos will soon find custom games with similar rule sets, which we hope will satisfy.
Yeah, the remake is really bad.
If you want to remove
It broke a lot of stuff. That was
Look, if there's actually reasoning behind that, I mean, I'm not a hardcore Warcraft 3 player 17 years on, so this might be something that the community wanted. But the audacity of them to mention, you might find custom games that will meet your needs. But it's like, well, a lot of people won't find custom games that meet their needs because you banned a whole bunch of custom games now. So that's great.
Related to that, as we talked about last year at BlizzCon, we did not want the in-game cutscenes to steer too far from the original game. We went a little deeper into the thought process behind that at the show, but the main takeaway is that the campaigns tell one of the classic stories of Warcraft history. And we want to preserve the true spirit of Warcraft 3 and allow players to relive these unforgettable moments as they were, albeit rebuilt with new animations and the higher fidelity art. Oh my god, is that honestly what they're saying? This is the pièce de résistance of that, the bullshit pie that they have built here. This is like the,
that is one big pile of shit.
This is what they're essentially saying. If you're not aware, they promised us remastered cutscenes, 4 hours of remastered cutscenes.
And I'm showing that footage now.
And they look fantastic, and everyone was really keen to see that. That was really the major draw card for this, because it was a chance to relive that story, but at much higher fidelity, in like a way that just made the cutscenes really pop out more. And that's a great thing, because the Warcraft story is incredible and really fantastic. Like, no one was saying, no, don't remaster the cutscenes. Yeah. No one was saying, people were saying, oh, you've changed some of the visual elements of the game, and we don't like what you've done with color palettes and with the tree designs and saturation. Yep. They were saying, we don't want you to change that stuff, change it back, and so that's fair enough. No one was saying, don't change the cutscenes. No one was saying, don't remaster them. You could even just touch up the cutscenes and leave them as is, and then also do the proper Reforged cutscenes. What they are trying to say here, they're trying to like trick you into thinking, well, you actually asked us to remove the Reforged cutscenes. We didn't want to, but you wanted it, so I guess we did it. That's absolute madness. So sneaky. I cannot believe that. When I read this, I was like, oh wow. Wow, that's really shit, dude. Like, how really? How do they think we are? And like, I mean, I would rather them say nothing about this. I would totally rather them say nothing. I would rather them say nothing than come out and make it sound like, it's just so Slytherin. It's horrendous. And no mention, and on top of that as well, speaking of saying nothing, no mention of the remastered UI, which is one of the biggest draw cards for this, because Warcraft 3, the UI sucks, it's old, whatever. They saw the new UI in 2018, it looked fantastic. People were like, I want that UI. Blizzard have not said they'd plan to implement that at all. I mean, there's so much here around, like, they don't even talk about custom games policy and the fact that now they own everything you create. They don't talk about the fact that they banned like third-party IP in there, so you can't build huge amounts of custom games you used to be able to build in the past. Like, just so much stuff not covered in this update. And then they conclude with, we know this update doesn't address all concerns, but we're committed to the development and support of this game. We hope you keep an eye out for this week's patch and future updates, and let us know what you think as we continue fine-tuning things. Until then, thank you as always for your support and passion for Warcraft 3. We appreciate all your feedback, and will continue to keep the Warcraft 3 community updated on everything we're working on.
It's so gross.
Sincerely, the Warcraft 3 Report. We appreciate all your feedback. Like, it just feels like there's some robotic creature that's just like spewing out this corporate garbage. This really is just one of the most disappointing statements that they could have put forward.
Number one, it should have been a video.
it should have been
Yeah.
someone from the Warcraft
Well,
team
this is
sitting
no
down
fear
face to
on
face
that,
with that
it's
camera and
Venus.
going, guys, let's talk. We fucked up big time.
Yep.
Let's talk about this. You know what? It hasn't been a good year, blah, 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 blah. And actually be real.
Well, since
That
good
Metacritic
use
score
the-
might have
when
gone
you
to
do
0.6
this,
if they do that.
heterogeneous stuff.
But it's going to continue to go down to like 0.1. It's just, yet again, another
Nico.
blunder, another bullshit moment.
And it really just highlights how bullshit everything they said at BlizzCon 2019 was. Like this quote here.
Yeah, some of the streamers on this game already have 4 or 5 level 100s in this league.
Make matters worse.
So they play this full time.
Slow to talk with all of you. When I think about what I'm most unhappy about, there's really two things. The first one is we didn't live up to the high standards that we really set for ourselves. And the second is we failed in our purpose. And for that, I am sorry, and I accept accountability.
Okay, arena
We
map.
will do better.
Arena.
But our actions
Temple,
are
cage,
going to matter more than any of these.
cage.
This quote, was really all about like, oh, we're gonna do better and accountability and speak to you. All bullshit, all lies.
Yeah.
It's so sad seeing how this company has fallen and the way they treat their customers now. Like this is utter garbage, utter nonsense. It's doublespeak. It's purposefully deceptive and it's slimy, and it doesn't offer any real apology. Like it literally is just, we're sorry that you had a bad time.
Yeah.
Not
that's
our
it.
fault. That's on you. Do you know what I mean? Like rubbish. Anyway, Lizard Man, what do you
Listen,
say?
man, I know if they were getting sorted by the Sorting Hat in Harry Potter, we know what house they'd be in. And with that, guys, we are done. Thank you so much, love you, appreciate it. That was a quick update. Was it a quick update?
I don't think it was quick at all.
Kind of quick. Anyway, well, we love you, appreciate you, and we'll be back tomorrow. Lame it out.
Blizzard have finally responded, and they've also opened up their refund process. Do they know that they've messed up? I would say probably, but do they have a good plan to fix people's core problems? Have they addressed those problems? No, and they've pretty much said as much. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another industry report. We do 6 industry analysis videos per week, so if you're new here, give us a sub, and if you want to help us out, give us a like for that algorithm. And with that, let's get going. So, Blizzard have released an official response, and like Blizzard responses tend to be, I think we remember that BlizzCon one, it's a bit tone deaf, and it does somewhat miss the point. Now, they open, right, by saying that they've been following the discussion, that they thank people for their feedback, and that they apologize for those who, quote, didn't have the experience they wanted, maybe the experience you tried to sell them in 2018, and they say they're going to share their plans. What are those plans? Well, they're not, it's a bit sparse. So, they apologized for server load issues in day 1 that prevented logins. Not that big an issue, I think people would understand that. Moving on, they then say they're going to address feedback and aspects of Reforged, but first, they talk about how they're excited for the game, how they're going to have patches that will help the game, and how they just love Warcraft 3, and how Warcraft 3 is an integral part of, quote, Blizzard's DNA. And you know what? I do not doubt that the developers actually do think that as individuals. However, I do doubt that Blizzard themselves allocated resources to this project in a manner befitting of its being an integral part of Blizzard's DNA. So, yeah, mostly that paragraph it's just a paragraph of nothing. Moving on, they then spend a paragraph about classic mode bugs that cause colors and certain visuals to look a little bit different to how it actually looked, and they say those things are going to be fixed soon. So, yeah, there we go. They may, though, have forgotten one of the largest things relating to classic Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, that they killed it. I mean, sure, you can play Warcraft 3 Reforged in classic mode, but you can't play Warcraft 3 The Frozen Throne, i.e. the original, complete Warcraft 3. Blizzard automatically swapped people's copies of Warcraft 3 over to the new Reforged client just without the HD textures if they hadn't bought Reforged. So they, scrubbed the original version of Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne, from the Battle.net platform, and then they destroyed the old Battle.net, meaning that people with actual copies of Warcraft 3 are actually not able to play it online. So yes, if you've got War 3 via your game discs, tough luck. The best you can do is play that game in LAN. Now, Blizzard's post very much chooses not to mention this fact whatsoever, and this actually becomes even more clear in their next paragraph. So, in that paragraph, they talk about the missing online features, things like leaderboards and clans, that apply to all Warcraft 3 players, including those who hadn't purchased Reforged. Now, that is Blizzard's specific wording, and if you actually pay attention to that, you really see what it implies. The old version of Warcraft 3 does not exist anymore. The official line here is that Warcraft 3, classic Warcraft 3, is reforged, but without the graphical updates. And that is them totally choosing not to acknowledge what they did on a technical level to actual Warcraft 3, the Frozen Throne, and yeah, that they consider, what they consider to be classic Warcraft 3 is literally not classic Warcraft 3. But you know what? It actually gets a bit worse, because later on in that paragraph, they justify part of this based on the new MMR system that they're looking to implement for multiplayer. And that's much like how they did that for StarCraft Remastered. Now, they say that those features will be included in a major upcoming patch. But here's the deal here, right? And this is so funny. StarCraft Remastered has crossplay with StarCraft Brood War. They did not disable oldbattle.net for Brood War whenever StarCraft Remastered came out. Now, of course, there's a business incentive there, because if you kill original StarCraft Brood War, well, there goes half the esports scene in Korea, but you get the point here. They've seemingly forgotten that, they did it right with StarCraft and how they've utterly destroyed it with Warcraft. And then the second thing in this paragraph that I find to be damning is that it's an admission that this is just not a finished product. I mean, you want those features in your game? Sure, right? You want features in a game, you want to sell that game to people. How about you try building them in for launch and then selling it to people and not running off promises? I mean, really, the old adage, better to beg for forgiveness than permission, it sure is abused a lot in gaming, and this is another example of that. And again here, I don't blame the actual staff working on this. At the end of the day, they had their deadline. They had to meet it. It's clear that strange things have been happening with this game behind the scenes, though. I mean, projects don't slip past their release window without a peep from the company, only to then have a December release date announced in November, only for that to then slip into January. I mean, how the hell did they not know that they would miss December during that BlizzCon announcement? I mean, it seems a little bit fishy and weird to me. Now, anyway, the point here is there's clearly something wild going on with the management of this project, and maybe the budget is just not big enough or something like that. But they end this paragraph by saying that the team is working hard to deliver more Battle.net functionality, and you know what, that's fine. I don't doubt that, but I'm pretty sure that's an understaffed team that really is just getting the whip at this stage. And, the evidence for that is look how much they cut, look how late it still was. Okay, so moving on, their next paragraph is almost irrelevant to the core of people's concerns because it's regarding the original Reign of Chaos rule set and the tournaments feature, and basically they say that custom games will probably pop up with Reign of Chaos rules, which, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Let's move on. So, right now, okay, we're through the 6th of 8 paragraphs, and they really have not talked about much of substance, what people actually cared about. Well, in the next one, they do talk about the game, and they say that there are some, quote, some individual concerns that they're not planning to address. And they said some individual concerns. That is not a realistic way of characterizing one of the main points of community criticism, the one that we're about to get into. So, in this post, they say that as they said in BlizzCon, they don't, they didn't want the in-game cutscenes to steer too far away from the original game. And they say that at that BlizzCon, they went deeper on that thought process, and they say their goal is to tell the original story so that people can experience them as they were, albeit with new animations and higher fidelity art. And this is an interesting one. There's a number of things here. So, thing number one. First, they talked about that at BlizzCon. That's a paid stream. BlizzCon is a PPV. Past that, Blizzard went to pretty much zero effort to tell customers about the changes they plan to make to the scope of the project that people had already pre-ordered. It actually gets worse though, because they actively misled people, because even past that point, the marketing materials did not line up with the launch version of that game whatsoever. Many people got the gist that, yes, Blizzard are not going to rejig the story to put more Jaina and Sylvanas in, but people still expected the more dramatic cutscene camera work and scripting that was shown in the trailer that was continued to be shown even to this day. That trailer's got the same voice line, the same story and actions of the original game, but the production values in that trailer version of the cutscene are way higher. So attempts to go for that level of fidelity, they were scrapped, and Blizzard just didn't tell people about it in a clear fashion. Also, by the way, Blizzard, at this stage, it's not reforged, it's remastered. It's Warcraft 3 remastered. I mean, I'd maybe say it's demastered, considering the destruction of the original and many of its features, but you get the point here. Any responsible company, what would they have done, right? They would have communicated these changes to everyone who had pre-ordered the game. They would have done that very clearly. Blizzard chose not to. Now, let's hop over to some of their current marketing, okay? The first line is, Warcraft 3 Reforged is a complete reimagining of a real-time strategy classic. That's a lie. That's not true. That's not what you're doing. You've got incredible developers and incredible artists. You've got legendary IP, and, this is how the higher-ups are just running those incredible things into the ground. I mean, their line on limitless custom games, that's also rather funny, given the new license agreement, as is, say, their claim of the updated UI. Of course, that's something they ended up abandoning. They originally showed a more modern UI refresh, but that's gone, and that's not even covering the cutscenes in the trailer. Then also, their claim of the higher fidelity art. I just want to be real with you here, and this is personal opinion. To me, I think it looks terrible compared to, say, Heroes of the Storm. Now, they farmed this out to a Malaysian studio called Lemon Sky, and they clearly just did not give Lemon Sky solid direction in this. The chunkiness of Warcraft remains in the buildings, but it's gone from the characters. And I really think the buildings and the characters and even the environments just clash visually. It looks like a mobile game. It looks really bad, like Raid Shadow Legends or something. Also, I mean, the higher detailed models, they're far less readable than the original Warcraft 3 ones. And if you think about the animations, I mean, if you're dealing with low poly models, then you can get away with pretty stiff animations. I think less so here. I mean, just compare this stuff to the work they did with Heroes of the Storm, which looks gorgeous. One of those games is a Blizzard quality product, the other one is not. And they end by saying that they know that the update post is not going to address people's questions, all of them, but they say they're committed. And overall, it does seem like a fine-tuning of what is there is in scope for this project, but really not that much else is. Now, past that, there is one more thing, and this is a bit tricky to quantify, but it does seem like Blizzard have massively opened up their automatic refund criteria for the game. So originally, it was not available for many people, and this led to many people having to go through customer support to get their refunds. Since then, though, it does seem like the criteria for automated refunds has massively increased, such that really just about anyone can request a refund for the game. Now, a part of me wonders, right, is this Blizzard knowing that it's just a fight they're not going to win, and then maybe if they try to struggle, people could end up complaining to their country's consumer rights and advertising agencies, because let's be real, there is literal false advertising going on here with that trailer and with what is actually delivered. So, how can Blizz salvage this? Number one, they need to rename this game. It needs to be called Warcraft 3 Remastered, and they need to drop its price accordingly. Number two, they need to reinstate Warcraft 3 The Frozen Throne on Battle.net and make it officially purchasable through their website with zero alterations to how it was, and then Old BNet needs to be activated. That is the only way that Blizzard Entertainment can make this right in my eyes. And to give you an example of another company that recently did this right, Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition has a massive number of great changes, but if you don't want them, well, the original rules are all there as options, including even the old AI. It also came with a new campaign, new modes, and because I owned Age of Empires 2 HD, I got 25% off. That's how you treat a classic franchise, and that's why I am working on a video to show you just how good of a job that they did on Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, especially as compared to Reforged, to really just show how much of a lazy hack job Blizzard ended up doing. Now, when I say lazy, do I mean that the developers were lazy in this? No, they probably had to crunch their asses off to get this thing done. What I'm more saying is that clearly budget was not allocated to this in a way that was actually befitting of the product that they ended up advertising in 2018, and that those developers probably could have done with way more resources and support to actually bring this project to life in a way that they would have ideally seen it and that customers would have ideally seen it. So, there you go. That is the Warcraft 3 Reforged update. I somehow doubt there's going to be much more to say on this story, really. I think this is pretty much a closed book. Blizzard are just continuing on this direction, and I doubt anything's really going to change. So that's it for me. If you want to check out our other Warcraft 3 content, then hey, it's on the channel. And if you want to stay tuned for that Age of Empires video, be sure to sub. Anyway, there'll be a video up tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
I'm hungry.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another roundup. So, Google are really not instilling confidence with Stadia. Warcraft 3 Reforged's EULA actually has a more hardcore legal language than is usual, and you really do need to know about it. Then Platinum Games, they are doing a really strange thing in Kickstarter, and we've got even more with an absolutely tremendous win for games preservation happening recently. Now, if you're new here, then hey, we're an indie game studio. We also do 6 game industry news and analysis videos per week, so if you're down for that, hit that sub button. If you want to those complaints, it's just a lack of details on pretty much anything. We know that the Stadia team, right, they are tracking 120 games coming to the platform in this year, and that more than 10 of those games are going to be launch exclusives for Stadia. And that's all we've got. We've got basically no names, no involved studios, nothing. Now, the reasoning here, according to the Google representative, is that Google wants to leave it up to the publishers to make the announcements about their IP/games. And now, I think that's actually an understandable, correct thing in principle, but here's what I would say. Google, you sold people onto your platform, and that actually sets an expectation for people that you've lined out lots of content for them. So the onus here is on Google to set up a content schedule that's actually good for Stadia users. Yet here they're basically hiding behind saying, oh, that's for the publishers to decide. Actually, Google, what you needed to have done well in advance was to go to all those publishers and work out having X amount of games per month solidly for the entire period of time. That's not really what you've done, but for Google, actually, in a business term, it sort of gets a bit worse. Why? Well, we've got to remember that Stadia Pro is a subscription service. Now, additionally, the insinuation that Google will only announce the exclusives coming to Stadia doesn't really hold up that much. I mean, more than 10 exclusives coming in the first half of 2020, something they said. That means more than 10 games in the next 5 months, and not a single one of those games has even been announced. So that does seem a little bit weird and fishy. And then passing the buck off to the publishers, that's only going to get Google so far here. The Stadia team seem rather determined to leave their player base in the dark, and they clearly just were not ready here. That does not inspire confidence in the platform, and that's extremely relevant because, as I said, it's a subscription service. Stadia Founders Editions ship with 3 months of Stadia Pro, and that renewal date is fast approaching. Google really are running out of time to actually convince people to stick around with their platform. And overall, is this a big evil plan? I would actually say no, not really. It's so incompetent in its execution as an overall consumer-facing value proposition that I'm just going to put this down to Google. Probably had a pretty good idea for a cloud service, and they just managed to mess up the content lineup and then just about every detail of making a good service for customers. Of course, xCloud is probably going to clobber them, but with that, let's move on to the next story. Yep, it's yet more Warcraft 3 Reforged. So, we covered Blizzard's response yesterday. I would recommend checking that video out if you've not already. But in other news, well, it's got the lowest user score on Metacritic. It's got a 0.5, and that's alongside a 61 Metascore. Now, the damning user score, that's more a reflection of just the whirlwind of ill feeling that game has actually attracted from people. And in case you're wondering about some other ones, well, Fallout 76 has a user score of 2.7. Metal Gear Survive, another beloved game, 1.2. Yeah, people are not happy with Blizzard, even to the point where people were upvoting Day 1 Gary's Incident, a true disaster, to make its score higher than Warcraft 3. Now, Warcraft 3 Reforged is a better game than Gary's Incident, yes, but I think we all get the point here. Now, I mentioned this next bit at the end of yesterday's video, but many will have missed that, and it does bear repeating because it's extremely important.
That was
After that, though, we
stupid.
do have an interesting new bit of news.
Gary's Incident doesn't
I
even...
mentioned this next bit at the Yeah, people are not happy with Blizzard, even to the point where people were upvoting Day 1 Gary's Incident, a true disaster, to make
Why don't
its
you
score
beef up Age of Empires Definitive Edition?
higher than Warcraft 3. Now, Warcraft 3 Reforged is a better game than Gary's Incident, yes, but I think we all get the point here. Now, I mentioned this next bit at the end of yesterday's video, but many will have missed that, and it does bear repeating because it's extremely important. After that, though, we do have an interesting new bit of news. So, after last week's stories of denied refunds and even some bans for discussing refunds in the forums, Blizzard seemed to have overhauled their approach. Several Reddit users are now reporting, and a lot of people who have hit me up in messages as well, reporting access to immediate refunds for Warcraft 3 purchases via the automated customer service site. Now, this basically indicates, right, that Blizzard have opened up the criteria for whom the automated system is available to in response to this criticism. And let's be real, that's the right move, okay? There's no shadow of a doubt there. That is what Blizzard should have done. And that said, there was a point here that PC Gamer brought up about the EULA, and it's one that actually gives Blizzard more rights to your work than you may think. Now, it's pretty standard for a company to own what is made on its platform and, that which involves their property. It's like that for most creation kits, such as Skyrim's. But PC Gamer's Tyler Wilde rather astutely points out that typical agreements usually give the company non-exclusive rights, but that Blizzard's claims exclusive rights. Now, this is highly relevant. So Tyler points out that with non-exclusive, you still own the parts of the mod that are wholly original and are yours. So if you made custom art and custom music for your mod, it would be yours. So maybe if you and a team of people made a Skyrim mini expansion, and in the process you made a score, I believe you would have the rights to commercially exploit that score. You would just have to, not use any of Bethesda's trademarks or anything that they own in, your publishing of that score. Well, at least that's what I believe. Now, with Blizzard's exclusive contract, things are a little bit different. They entirely own all of your work that's published up in their platform, even that which is wholly original. Why? Well, as Wild points out, Dota. Dota, like just the name Dota, Defense of the Ancients, got nothing to do with Blizz. I mean, it's just not their name, right? Now, they tried to argue that Dota's association with Warcraft 3, because Dota was a Warcraft 3 custom map, that means that it should be theirs, but that got nowhere in court, and they ended up having to settle with Valve. And that's why this contract ties you down so hard. Now, what would worry me here is that, it's like covering all work in a mod. So could that even apply to things like designs? I mean, if you made a popular Warcraft 3 Reforged mod, but then you took that to Unity, changed some of the art, got a team together, made it. I mean, if Blizzard wholly owned all parts of your mod, could there be problems there, even with some of the design of the game? It's hard to say. Now, look, that's just technically speaking. I really do doubt that Blizzard would actually go after something like that unless they saw it was going to be the next big thing like Dota that, they would not want to miss out on again. But overall, I just say, number one, thank you to Tyler Wilde for pointing that out. That was a very interesting article. And, I mean, the other thing is, it's something we've got to deal with, right, in what we do as a studio. But yeah, knowing your IP law and all that stuff is actually really important, especially if you're going to be going into game development. And one of the best ways to start with game development is actually to make custom maps and to really start testing things. So, yeah, it's an important story, even though it maybe to many would just seem like boring legal text. Next, though, onto a good story. So, one of the biggest complaints about Warcraft 3 Reforged is that it shares a client with the original Warcraft 3, and the original Warcraft 3, like actual Classic War 3, has effectively been erased from existence, because now all you can get is Reforged, but without the textures, and models. So, aside from that being a terrible decision that never should have been made, it's also restarted a very important conversation about video game preservation and the historical significance of classic PC gaming. So, back in 2017, Adobe announced that they would be ending support for Adobe Flash at the end of 2017. And since then, the company has been working with firms like Apple and like Google to ensure that the switchover is actually one that is as smooth as possible. And as of April 2018, less than 5% of websites use Flash. So that is good news, but you might be wondering, where do games come into this? Well, many games have made the jump to more current, more current frameworks, but many did not. And, well, what that kind of would mean is that the incoming death of Flash could mean that this massive library of Flash games has been kicking around the internet for over a decade. That's led to so many, major titles that history would just be erased, would disappear. Well, enter Flashpoint. Flashpoint uses open source technology to create a freely downloadable digital library of games and animations. And this list, right now, this is wild. It is a massive 36,000 games, and the community is always taking suggestions for titles that may be missed to put into it. And as expected, this list, it contains numerous standouts from the venerable stickman genre of Flash games. I mean, come on, you've got to remember them from when you were younger. Things like Bowman. I mean, a lot of them would look rather quaint today, but even Bloons, right? Remember that stuff? I mean, if you ever had a school computer class in the mid-2000s, I mean, you knew your way around Miniclip, and I think it was Crazy Monkey and Newsgrounds and all those things. I mean, Flash is just such an important part of gaming history, and it's really good here to see that Flash content being preserved in spite of the march of technology. And hopefully this just means that the desire will be more mainstream. I think one of my favorite games, Freelancer, it's what Chris Roberts did before he took a sabbatical for the film industry and then did Star Citizen. But Freelancer is one of my favorite games. Right now, it's abandonware. You can't get it anywhere bar, if you have discs and find it on the internet, which, it is just on the abandonware website. But it just shows the importance of keeping that history alive. And actually a good thing in this regard could be the new wave of consoles, because it seems like both of them are going to be having extensive backwards compatibility. And, if that is the case, then obviously that's good for the library of games that you own, and it's actually good for the preservation of game experiences in general, which I think is something that is deeply important, because games, they are the next big art form, and we need to preserve it. We need to, to actually treat it with that respect. And with that, let's move on to, honestly, a really strange one. So there's updates on Platinum games. Now, Platinum make incredible content. I mean, come on, Nier, Astral Chain, but this one's really bizarre. So Platinum are set to enter the self-publishing world. It's something they've wanted for a long time, but they're kind of doing it with Kickstarter, and it's odd because this week they announced their campaign to bring Wonderful 101 to new platforms. Now, this campaign launched on Monday. It asked for 50 grand to remaster and self-publish the 2013 title on the Nintendo Switch. The stretch goals, then, are 250 grand for a Steam version and 500 grand for a PS4 port. Now, the campaign obviously hit all of those goals within a few hours because it's Platinum and people love their content, rightly so, it is excellent. And as of the time of writing, it's over $1 million from 15,000 backers. Now, before we get onto the odd thing, which is the shipping date for this, there is also the new Platinum 4 teaser website that's popped up this week, and basically it looks like there are 4 games in 2020 for Platinum. We're just going to have to hang on tight to actually see what those games are going to be, and I'm sure they will be really excellent, fun games. But as for this Kickstarter, it's odd, and it's, people are saying it's shady, and I get that. I mean, the main delivery is in April, so, I mean, they can't add backers to the credits. So yes, that port is done. It's done. They can't even put you in the credits. And that means they're basically just using this to onboard their fan base to the game, to get some early money, to sort of just bring people along with that story of them self-publishing. But the thing is, though, the Kickstarter gives people far less control.
Okay, I want to do...
And really, to me, it does seem like a bit of a needless cash-in in some ways. I mean, yeah, it started now. It's releasing in April. There's a bit of that just doesn't really sit that well for me, because it doesn't seem like any development work needs to be done here, and that's especially following their cash injection from Tencent. Now, they did say that the Tencent money is for new projects, but look, at the end of the day, it all does just boil down to money that's in the company account, so I see this and it feels a bit odd. It really is a strange story, but this campaign, it surely will work out for them. They have that fan love to be able to do that easily. ultimately, I mean, the
I don't
best
wanna
way
give
to see
in.
if people want, you know, ports from other platforms. I mean, yeah, it is to ask money for it. That's a hell of a way to test the market. Maybe
Knocking
the
at my
best way
door.
to test the
Is it
market.
your fault or
And
is it
maybe,
my
say,
fault?
for
Would it
Steam,
be your
if
fault?
Steam
be
lets
my
them
fault.
generate keys for free, they would also
be mad
avoid
at
the
me,
store
Steven?
cut, and they'd only deal with the 10%
you
Kickstarter
forgive
cut.
me?
That said, I've got
Probably
no idea how much
Damn,
Nintendo
really,
or Sony
Steven?
charge for
Seriously?
generating keys, so it's kind of
You
hard
wouldn't
to tell if
forgive
people are missing
me?
out on some things there.
Okay.
I mean, it's
I
an
would
interesting
forgive
one.
you.
You know, this is coming from the perspective of someone who's going to be launching a Kickstarter for
That was
you
harsh.
know, our big game
Now I know
in
where
the
I
next,
stand.
probably the next
Twitch
6
or
months.
Jasmine?
So, yeah, it's a really odd one seeing what's going on here. I
Well,
mean, how
the
many
easy
game
way
Kickstarters do you
to
see, like,
not
with,
get banned
with
is not
a shipping
doing that
date
kid in
that's
front
like
of my camera.
3 months after? I mean, it kind of just seems like a big way to sell the
always on the
merch and all of
camera.
that stuff. But
Okay, so
I mean,
then
yeah,
just don't go on your
it's not
camera
something that I'm
I'm
personally
not
that comfortable
naked.
with. I
Well,
think a lot of
okay,
big
then you're good.
fans of Wonderful 101 will probably be happy enough with it. But I've got to imagine that outside of that core base of the people who really love Platinum, there'll
Yeah,
be
then
a
you're
lot
fine.
of skepticism over why the decision was made in the way that it was. I mean,
Oh,
personally,
shit.
I'd understand selling it in Switch and then maybe kickstarting the more expensive ports to other platforms that like have a further off release date. But yeah,
What?
I'd love to know what
Oh,
you've
yeah,
got to
yeah,
say
never
on this
been.
one, though. But anyway, that's it for me. If you would like to subscribe, it really does help us out. If you want other content to watch, well, we're publishing a video tomorrow. We published one yesterday and more 3 reports. I think you'll enjoy them both. And yeah, with that, thanks. I'll see you next time.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm probably late to this one by a lot actually, and all of my peers in the YouTube space have covered it to death, but since it's a pretty high profile, perhaps historic gaming disaster, I'll take a swing at it and do my own video. The topic is Warcraft 3 Remastered, or Reforged, and it's a pretty much historic meltdown right now. The issues are numerous, ranging from Blizzard's new policy regarding user-generated maps to visual downgrades, performance issues, backwards server compatibility problems, a Metacritic score so low it has broken records, and a whole bunch more. There is a tremendous amount of repetition out there on this topic already from a bunch of different people, because AAA meltdowns get a boatload of views.
How does it compare?
All that in mind, I do want to cover the launch of Warcraft 3, but I will try to make it as comprehensive as possible so that there is no need for 10 more follow-ups afterward. To truly get started, for those that don't know, Warcraft 3 is a high fantasy real-time strategy game produced by Blizzard in 2002. The game was and is extremely popular. I myself have played it, though to be honest it was a great many years ago. The game is based within the Warcraft universe, obviously, and conjures up the same sort of nostalgia for many players that the classic or vanilla version of the World of Warcraft MMO did as well. As an easy example of how powerful that nostalgia can be, Classic WoW, when it finally did relaunch, had over 1 million concurrent viewers on Twitch for days on end. It was a monumental relaunch event that dwarfed almost any and all expectations. This was also after Blizzard had said publicly, "You think you want it, but you don't," indicating how hilariously out of touch they are, but more on that later on. Blizzard has done reboots before. A similar event, sort of similar, not precisely similar, was StarCraft. StarCraft Remastered did a decent job of improving upon outdated visuals and features in the original game. It was well received, and it proved that an old title remastered properly can be appreciated by the player base. However, Warcraft 3 has not followed the same route. The largest and most immediate concern was launch day stability and graphical downgrades. Now, to be clear, the graphical downgrades aren't just a reduction in texture quality, though that does seem to have happened as well. It was a near total recalibration of how the cutscenes and dialogue played out. In the background right now, you can see the juxtaposition of what was advertised to the public pre-release and the actual version that launched. These are very different things. One is a clear remaster with significant improvements, and the other is, I mean, it isn't. That's just the beginning, though. Graphical downgrades like this happen all the time, and yes, they still net significant backlash, but that level of graphics-only backlash would be a literal blessing to Blizzard at this point. In addition to the sense of being lied to about visual fidelity, the game had severe, crippling stability issues at and beyond launch. I obviously can't verify this personally. I was on vacation at the time without a gaming setup during the entire launch day fiasco, but there were widespread reports of significant glitches and or bugs that hindered the player experience, if they could even log in at all, which
Last week was definitely a roller coaster. It's difficult when people don't get along and I don't see things that are going on behind my back.
One of the biggest disappointments from 2019 was hearing that Doom Eternal was going to be delayed until March 2020. That ranks up there in some of the worst news I've received in my life, aside from finding out that I had chickenpox and that a girl that I once dated thought that Friends was better than Seinfeld. Anyway, it's only a couple of months now until we're all going to finally get our hands on Doom Eternal and the wait will be over. I'm sure most people have seen that new trailer at this point, which was so good that it could honestly be used as a marital aid. However, I have been very spoiled lately and I was invited to Bethesda's secret headquarters in Sydney to play through the finished build of Doom Eternal for about 4 or so hours. I was kind of limited in what I was and wasn't allowed to capture though, and as soon as I left the session I thought of all this cool stuff that I could have recorded, but maybe that's a good thing. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say, so maybe the lack of some of the details is going to leave people wanting more. I was also limited in how long I can make this video, which is why it's only about 15 minutes instead of 45. This is not a sponsored video either. I wasn't paid to play the game or to give my thoughts on it. If anything, I'd be the one paying them. The main point is I got to play what's essentially the final version of the game, including all the cinematics and the content, just limited to the first 3 levels. And I gotta say, and I mean this in the best way possible, but I don't think you guys are ready for this. What id Software has created here, it really transcends Doom at this point.
Part of the
it's really
game.
Doom in name because of just how expansive and detailed this universe has become. The way this game is
Alright,
going
I'm
to affect
off.
the genre is like when Unreal came out.
Bye bye.